Welcome back to the Thermo Diet podcast. I'm your host, Jayton Miller, and today I have on the podcast, I actually have a group podcast today, Mr. Jake Miner, Colin Rico, and Gina Lopez. So these are three of the most thermo of the Thermo Warriors. Jake is actually known as the Thermo Warrior inside of the Thermo Diet community. We talk about some of the best tips that we had whenever we were going through our health journey, some of the best tips that we are currently utilizing in our health journey. We also talk about some of our best activators, some of our favorite supplements, and a whole host of things. So there are some really good golden nuggets in here. So I'm really looking forward to y'all being able to listen to this one. So let's dive in. How's it going today, guys? I am here with none other than Jake Miner, Gina Lopez, and Colin Rico. How y'all doing today?
Doing great.
Well, very excited to be in the presence of greatness.
Definitely. So for the listeners out there, do y'all mind kind of just giving a brief introduction of who y'all are and how y'all got here?
Sure. My name is Gina Lopez, and I am I would say a SIBO slayer. I am by day a urban planner, and by night a thermo warrior. I would say that SIBO slayer because I was diagnosed with SIBO last year, and I have slayed it to overcome it. And with Umzu, I am keeping my gut healthy and clean. So I'm living the good life now. Now that I've got myself back my health optimized. And I'm just enjoying life now, actually just keeping my health going strong. So keeping up with you and Jake.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. All right. My name's Jake Miner. If you guys don't already know me, you can definitely find me in the Thermo group. A lot of people reference me as the Thermo Warrior. My story, years ago, I started playing around with synthetic over-the-counter testosterone. And from that point, my health just spiraled all the way down from financial issues, parenting issues, until one day I found Christopher Walker about 5 years ago. And fast forward 5 years later, I work for Umzu. I love helping people optimize their health. It's kind of like my thing. I love connecting the dots, and my life has absolutely changed for the better. And I've been a big part of helping hundreds of other people change their lives the same way I changed my life.
It's awesome. Yeah, my name's Colin Rico. Very similar to Jake's story. A few years ago, I was in an extremely stressed out state, in and out of the hospital ever since I was a young buck. Pretty much just complete American standard diet, loaded with like polyunsaturated fats, estrogen, always aggravated, irritated very fast, pounding the soy milk, the almond milk, peanut butter, you name it. It wasn't until maybe three or 4 years ago, the Thermo Diet came out, and Christopher Walker and the company came out with that diet is when I started taking more into consideration about my health. And that was pretty much the catalyst to help me, put myself in the right direction. And ever since then, it's been an amazing journey. And now I just hope to share some of those things that I learned along the way and still learning with other people in the similar boat.
Definitely. What do y'all think is the biggest tip that y'all initially took advantage of whenever y'all got into Thermo? And then what is something that y'all are kind of playing around with now?
We'll start. Biggest tip. I would say the biggest tip, that's wow, maybe a couple, but I would say tied for number one, because I cannot pick just one, is the Thermo Diet and not being stressed out about everything you're doing. So the stress, the high cortisol, how it affects so much in your body. That's huge. It's big. It's common for us Americans just to stress out about work, stress out about whatever you're doing as you're in search for the optimal health or optimizing your health. But the Thermo Diet as well. I mean, the principles that are in the Thermo Diet, you learn about polyunsaturated fats, PUFAs. You learn about increasing carbs, which are demonized by the world. Sugar, something simple as orange juice. I couldn't pick just one. I would say the Thermo Diet in its entirety as one, because there's too many components there. But as well as stress, because I've done that myself, stressed out about why isn't my health improving? I did something yesterday. The next day I should be healed. And not stressing out about that, but knowing it's a process, it's a journey. I didn't lose my health overnight. It didn't, I might be struggling to get to the next level, but it didn't happen overnight. So if it took time to get there, it's going to take time to heal. So stress and thermo diet would be my top two.
Definitely.
Good point.
Jayden, can you run over that question one more time? I lost you. My internet kind of cut out there when you were talking.
Yeah. So the biggest tip that initially helped you out on your thermo journey, and then one of the biggest things that you're kind of focusing on now.
Yeah. So one of the biggest tips that really helped me in one of Chris's old videos, he mentions, the long road is the fast road. So with my health issue that I was dealing with, I was trying to cut corners and take synthetic testosterone and try to get bigger faster. And taking that approach to every aspect of my life. Hey, you need to slow down, do this thing right, don't cut any corners. And as I threw that into my life, everything just got better. So I hit the thermo lifestyle. I did it right. I did everything down to a T. And as I did everything right and I didn't cut any corners, I watched my health go from one end of the spectrum to the other. One of the things that I found successful for me too is concentrating on really ramping down that estrogen, because I came from an estrogen dominant system. So I took a deep dive into, what kind of things are estrogenic and what kind of things help downregulate estrogen. As I really dove into that, which is also a big part of thermo and a big part of Chris's work over the years, is hormone optimization. So I kind of became an expert on how to methylate excess estrogen. What are the ways? What are the benefits of things like betaine? That it donates an extra molecule to bind with the estrogen. You can methylate it out of your system. Also, choline does kind of the same thing. That's great at downregulating estrogen. One of my favorite things, and probably one of all of your guys' favorite things, is orange juice. As I dove into more of the hormone optimization, orange juice is great for estrogen, bringing down the estrogen. Another great thing is coffee. Another one of my favorite things is aspirin. And as I just kind of keyed in on, downregulating that estrogen, because my estrogen levels were so high, they're out of control. I was skinny fat, was kind of spiraling down in that estrogen dominant state. Also concentrated on workouts that improve your hormone function. This is also another big part of thermo. So, are you getting your weighted dips in? When I was doing weighted dips and you're getting that hormone response, this was awesome. I felt that this really helped me. Recently, I've added in the front lever, and I'm also getting, you can feel the hormone response when you're actually doing a front lever in the gym and you do a set of 5. It feels like you just did a muscle up. So concentrating on things like that. Resistance training is another thing that boosts hormone function. Another thing I really like, I've added in as of late, is the kettlebell swings. Another thing I've also added in, actually last week I was talking to Colin about this, is the clean. So if you're down and doing that whole full body movement, you're also helping boost your hormone function, and you're also concentrating on that estrogen. So those are two of the things that really helped me. Also, I find, when I'm giving people advice, like, hey, I'm in this stress state, that's one of the key staples of the thermo diet for me, and a lot of my advice to others is really concentrating on bringing down them estrogen levels, all kinds of ways through, diet, supplementation, and your workouts, things like walking, even sunlight, spending time in nature. Those kind of things are great for everyone to know, everyone to add in. So those are two of my big ones.
Awesome.
I guess my tip would be, especially when starting off, is establishing that foundation, especially when you're new to the thermo diet, or whether you're new to just improving your health in general. It can be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're just diving headfirst into bioenergetics. There's a lot to go over with the hormones, so on and so forth. So for me, I think it was establishing, a really good foundation with my nutrition is what I think was definitely a huge key. Making sure that the nutrition was on point, as well as my sleep, how was my stress. And then once I established that foundation, is kind of where I'm at now, is now I can start branching off into different things. So when you master the foundation, now, you can start focusing on things like the thyroid, estrogen, sleep, energy, so on and so forth. Digestion is huge. So for me, it's just really getting that foundation going, making sure that you start first with the diet, and then you start looking at what we call blockers. Start looking at blockers and seeing what you can eliminate now. Not get too crazy about it, but small changes over time, I think, makes a huge impact.
Definitely. Should I be answering these questions as well? That is one comment that we've gotten in the past, is I tend to ask questions and not answer them. Is that something that we should do?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial.
It's
for the viewers to see, what you're doing too. So yeah, definitely.
I love when I get to hear what new things you're doing.
All right. Sounds good. Let's see. I would say initially one of the biggest things that helped me was focusing on my gut health. So whenever I was in my lowest state of health, I struggled with constipation, extremely bad. And once I finally got consistency within my bowel movements, and kind of paid attention to what foods were causing me to be stopped up versus what foods were actually working with my body, was something that was very beneficial in my journey. For instance, like unripe bananas was something that I was eating pretty consistently just because I was a college student, and bananas are extremely cheap and they taste relatively decent. So I would eat those, and then I finally made the connection after I didn't eat them for a few days because I just didn't make it to the store, and my digestion got better. So just simple things like that, as far as my gut health was concerned, definitely made a huge difference in my day-to-day. And I would say now one of the things that I'm focusing on is I actually just got a negative ion generator. So I'm focusing on air purity and kind of seeing how the negative ion generation affects my sleep. So I think just experimenting with little tweaks like that is very good, especially since we've had all the fires and stuff in Colorado. The air quality isn't as good as it usually is. So just trying to make sure that I get the best air as possible is something that I've been focusing on. And it's actually already made a difference as far as my, I don't wake up with like as much pressure in the like front part of my head these past few days. So that's been kind of interesting.
I forgot to add, there's something now that I'm doing. I
Definitely.
mentioned I put it on the Umzu Fit platform. I did mention it there, but the New Calm.
Mm-hmm.
New Calm is something you use to, I wouldn't really say meditate, but you feel like you're in a meditative state. But I didn't bring it out. But you put a little disc on your P4. I think it's it's one of your kind of rhythms, circadian rhythm, one of the rhythms they have, or one of the points, pressure points. But you wear your headphones, you hear this certain soundtrack that they have, and these sounds are the ones that they sort of calm you down, bring down your, that vagus nerve, that fight or flight. I've been doing it, I've been working on doing it daily. I telework from home, so I should be. There's no reason why I shouldn't, but I get a little too into my work. So I have that little, workaholic that I'm fighting. But anyhow, when I do get to use New Calm, it changes my entire day. My sleep that night is incredible because I go right sound asleep. But I spend 20 minutes wearing that disc, and it totally calms me down. The sounds there, all I do is just sit there. I start noticing my breathing. And when I notice it starts changing, that's when I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a complete, just total relaxation state. And I feel too, like my gut has calmed down because that's where I tend to hold my stress, but it helps me observe my stress. So then I can stop and go, wait, is that stress coming along? Is it like coming down the way? Is it going to latch onto me? And I can just kind of watch it, push it away and go, no, keep going, stress. Not for me, not today. I don't want you. So it's actually helped me because I'm optimizing my health. I'm doing the things, checking my temperature, but yet now I'm bringing it down. Thank you, Jake Miner, reminding me to not focus on the stress, focus on, the long journey, just I'm going to get there. But that New Calm has really helped me throughout my day. My days are always calmer when I New Calm, but I can see it all the way around. So I like that New Calm. It's a pretty big investment to get into, but it really does pay off. So the sporadic sleeping or insomnia that sometimes I'd have, it's gone. It really helps. It really helps me out. So, and it's just something you put on. You do it like 20 minutes a day. I do it in the middle of the day. If I know I'm going to have a busy day, like if I'm out and about, then I'll do it right when I wake up. So I'll add 20 minutes of, and it's not sleep. It's just, I'm just listening to it, but I can feel my entire body just level. And I take it off and I'm like, oh yeah, what happened? Okay. Someone could be, I don't know, burglarizing me. And I'd go, well, this is not a good thing to do, but if you're going to do it, please don't take my favorite painting or something. But I don't feel that. And normally I'm a type A person, so I'm ready to go. I'm take charge, take the initiative, but at least I can bring down that stress level and focus on whatever right's in front of me. So I like it.
Have you tried combining that with any kind of light therapy? So like sunlight or red light therapy?
No, I just started adding red light because that's the next thing I want to do. But I've made the purchase with the new comb, which is not a small price tag. So the red light's next, but no, I haven't tried it with that. But I do use a friend of mine's once a week. I use her red light. So I was thinking of taking it when I do that because I'm going to be using it tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning I'll be at her place doing the red light. So
that'd be
but I also add methylene blue when I do the red light though. Just yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, do it.
I've also heard that the Apollo Neuro is a good tool to use as well. I'm not sure how similar it is to the new Calm, but it's just another one of those like biohacking agents to help reduce stress. It's kind of interesting. But so as far as supplementation, what's some stuff that y'all have noticed that has been beneficial for y'all?
Georgie.
True.
Go ahead.
I know for me personally, I do notice that vitamin D was a big one, and then combining that with vitamin K made a significant difference in my cognition. And then topping it off with magnesium was kind of like a very noticeable effect on my stress levels, and I would say my anxiety as well. I find myself not being as anxious and as tense whenever I'm in certain situations. So those have been some big ones for me. But what about y'all?
With me, kind of the same thing. Maybe about 3 months ago, I added in androsterone from Ideal Labs. And, I wasn't doing it to expect this huge, testosterone boost. But one thing I do notice is how much it increases your GABA. So I always sleep good. I've been sleeping good for probably 4 years. I sleep 9 hours, 10 hours a night, maybe more on the weekends. But my dreams are unbelievable when I'm supplementing with the androsterone, how it really increases your GABA. And then another thing, like you mentioned, I've been also taking the vitamin A, D, K, and E, and I just feel overall better, as well as the liquid magnesium. So I first started out with just, I think it's 333 milligrams for the one dose. Now I'm up to taking it 3 different times a day. My cognition is better. I also feel from adding magnesium, the liquid magnesium before my workouts, my muscles actually perform better in the gym. And another thing I've added in is the liquid pregnenolone. So you're supposed to add it in different times a day, because it is pretty strong and you can get kind of like a lightheaded effect, which I did because I tried a mega dose when I first got it. I'm always trying things. That's how the Thermo Warriors are. But with the pregnenolone, or Stressnone, I'm so de-stressed. I'm already not a stressed out person in the first place, but I have 2 kids. I work full time. Life's busy. Everything can get, stressful. Everything can be stressful. But when I add that in, it's almost like a euphoric feeling. And I'm completely less reactive. I already wasn't, anywhere as close to reactive as I was, when I first found Chris. I was in this crazy estrogen dominant state. But little things that would kind of get you kind of mad, nothing. I don't even think about it anymore after adding in, Stressnone, and I'm doing about 20 milligrams a day. So I'm doing that about 4 different times a day.
You also just had your first coffee enema experience. How did that go?
Yeah.
Wow.
So me and my boy, Jayton the Thriller Miller, were getting together, conversating about, what else can I add to the Thermo Warriors routine. And And Jayden's right away, coffee enema. And I'm like, man, I was hoping you wouldn't say this. One thing I haven't added in. But I am the thermal warrior, so I had to add it in. So Jayden made her a couple, excuse me. So I was asking Jayden, how do you do the coffee enema? What's your experience? And he basically mentioned, hey, I use the French press. I let it sit overnight so it's not hot. You definitely don't want to put hot coffee in there. Another thing that's, if you guys are watching and interested in doing this, you gotta put coconut oil on the tip, to help it get in there, right? You got to do that. Don't just raw dog it. You got to do that. So I've seen other people on YouTube videos just not even mentioning that. Just that's not what you want to do. So I use a fully hydrogenated coconut oil. I let my French press sit overnight, so it's kind of like room temperature coffee. And I tried it, and you got to remember, do not sneeze. Don't get distracted. Do not sneeze, do not cough, do not laugh. So on my first coffee enema, I actually held it in for 18 minutes. So that was longer than I thought. I just told myself, hey, I'm just going to go for 5 minutes to just see how I feel. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard Whitney Houston, I Just Want to Dance with Somebody. So after I got done with the coffee enema, from lowering, serotonin and endotoxin so much and really increasing that glutathione, I just got up dancing. Like I was doing Houston. I was in a good mood for about an hour and a half just dancing. So this is something I'm going to add in weekly. So once a week, I'm going to do a coffee enema. This Saturday when I do it, I might just throw on some Whitney Houston in the background and just see if I can break that 18 minutes. So if you guys haven't done a coffee enema, you can just order it right on Amazon. Make sure you're using filtered water. I suggest using the French press. Make sure it's a good organic coffee, things like that. Another thing I've recently added in that I'm really liking. So about 3 months ago, I started adding in frozen liver chunks to my daily fruit smoothie. Another Jayton Miller recommendation. Thanks, brother. And I'm not a fan of the metallic taste. I love, you guys see me cooking every day. I do big steaks. I've tried, liver with steak to try to, bring down that metallic taste, garlic, onions, mushrooms, bunch of seasoning. So I tried the liver chunks in my fruit smoothie. I tried it with Gerald Steiner. I've tried it with orange juice just to see the taste. And then after about 3 weeks, I was adding in just a thing of Mexicoke. And that really brought down the metallic taste. And then I keep seeing more of the bioenergetic warriors, online, Matt, talking about just doing raw liver, right? So, I was like, I'm just going to do this. So I get the bison liver from Whole Foods. And it's pretty cheap for a grass-fed bison liver. I think for 10 ounces, $5.99. So I've been buying, 5 or 6 at a time. So last Saturday, I just diced up the liver and I did kind of like a adrenal cocktail. I just did kind of my version. I did some coconut oil, 5 grams of salt, a little dash of milk, and then I really like in the Kelowna Gold Supernatural milk. That's awesome. So I took about 3-4, 1-inch chunks of the liver, threw it in my mouth and just washed it down. And to be completely honest, I don't even taste liver. So I'm not a fan of I've tried pâtés. I've tried everything with liver. I've tried doing the ancestral tablets, but I like getting in the real thing. It's going to be more effective. So after doing the shots and just chugging it down, I don't even taste liver. So all you guys watching and you guys on here with me right now, I highly recommend just dicing it up and shooting the raw liver. You don't even taste it. Another odd thing I noticed, about 10 minutes later, I'm almost on like a body high from just doing the liver. It just increases my mood, my energy, everything. It's awesome. So I highly recommend adding in raw liver if you guys haven't done it yet. Definitely.
Jake, I appreciate you throwing the gauntlet down for the liver and not for the enema.
Yeah, I knew Jake was going to bring that up, but hey.
I'll take you up on that liver offer, but I'm still thinking about the enema. Still thinking about it.
Yeah, my dad is he's pretty thermal. He's a thermal warrior, follows everybody that we follow, and I can't get him to do the coffee. And I'm like, Dad, this is the
I
next.
will. No, I will. I follow you enough. I will, but just give me a little more time.
Work your way up to it. And just remember, throw on that Whitney Houston. You'll be good to go.
No, you know what? Your lives. You should start dancing for your lives, right?
Yeah,
I like that idea. That was a good idea.
I was thinking about making it more creative, but I might have to check in with my boss about that.
Start moonwalking when you start the live.
I was gonna say, everyone wants to be like Jake. He's so happy, he's smiling. I'm like, what is he on? I want that.
No, it's that thermal vibe, Gina. Just keep
yes,
going.
I get it.
I can see it in you. You got the same vibe.
I can't watch you without smiling. I'm like, yeah. Awesome.
What about you, Colin? You got any tricks up your sleeve?
Yeah, I guess two of them I wouldn't consider them supplements. I guess more like supplemental food. One, I think, was the biggest game changer for my specific condition was going to be adding milk into my diet, like real milk, not just these fake lactating almonds that people think are good. Because when growing up, I was lactose intolerant, supposedly. So I would just, like I said, I was pounding the soy milk, the almond milk. And then I had a nice conversation with Danny about a year ago, and he was mentioning, try adding in more milk into your diet. So I started adding the more real milk, and over time, any type of digestive issues that I had while taking milk was just completely gone. So now I have like zero issues with milk. I can pound milk for days and I have no problem. That I think played a huge role in help lowering my prolactin and parathyroid hormone. Those were two things that were pretty high when I started getting my lab tests done initially. And now since adding in more calcium, roughly about, I'd say 1.5 to 2 grams, maybe more depending on the day of calcium. A lot of the libido issues that I was having in the past are starting to alleviate, which I think is incredible. It's just seeing how the body changes when you add or take away one variable is, for me, is incredible. So calcium is one. I think the other one is definitely going to be oysters. Even though I do forget sometimes I got to remind myself or kind of like schedule it into my meal that I'm going to cook for that day. But the oysters are a game changer. I can definitely feel a extremely significant difference when I've had no oysters versus having oysters. And that's been a staple for the past couple of years as well. So calcium, oysters, and I would say probably vitamin E. So I've been adding in the vitamin E daily, and sometimes I'll mega dose the vitamin E, and that's been kind of fun experimenting with as well. And I think supplementing with the vitamin E on a consistent basis and keeping the PUFA low, a lot of my libido issues, similar to the calcium, have definitely been diminished. Same thing with my mood as well. Like I don't have a lot of those symptoms that are correlated with higher estrogen or being in an abundant state of estrogen. So those three, I think, are my big go-tos.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that about the prolactin, because vitamin E is actually a very good anti-prolactin supplement as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're kind of getting a double whammy there with the calcium and the vitamin E.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But, what
about you?
What about me? As far as
your tricks.
Let's see. I do notice that whenever I'm consistent about the amount of calories that I eat, things tend to be pretty consistent as far as my health, especially whenever it comes to my sleep. I noticed that simply just eating enough calories is something that has boosted my sleep tremendously. And then also getting in some ice cream before bed, making sure that I have full liver glycogen. And the ice cream really helps. Even the taste of sweetness has been shown to reduce cortisol levels in a lot of cases. So that alone has been able to reduce my kind of stress right before I go to sleep. And I would say avoiding light most light, about 30 minutes before I go to sleep has been something else that has been very beneficial. I had a bad habit of being on my phone or just like watching YouTube till right before I was about to fall asleep and then going to bed. I've noticed since I cut that out and I simply just read a book or stretch in front of my red light, my sleep is significantly better, and it's usually a lot more consistent as well. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not too much that I would say that's crazy that I've experimented with that has made a significant difference. The coffee enemas are something that are very interesting. I had to bring it up, Jake. It's kind of funny. It's usually a hard mental barrier for people to overcome, but once they do kind of experiment with it, especially if they're having digestive issues, so especially whenever they have like the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or they simply just have a lot of endotoxin in their gut and stuff like that. Or people who have IBS tend to have like things kind of stuck within the microvilli of their intestinal tract, and getting in those coffee enemas to stretch out the gastrointestinal tract and kind of flush out those things that are stuck within the microvilli tend to be pretty beneficial. So I think that there is a lot of benefit to the coffee enema, at least on the occasion. I don't necessarily think it's something that people have to have in their routine consistently, but I think that on the occasion it can be beneficial. It's also been shown to help increase glutathione by up to 600 or even 700% in some cases. It helps export fat from the liver a little bit more effectively. So if you're struggling with a little bit of fatty liver, then it can help export that cholesterol a little bit more effectively and help increase just the general activity of the liver. So in general, it's a very good tool to utilize if you're not in a very good state at the moment. Definitely. Wow. But I'm kind of having trouble thinking of a question here. Did any of y'all got any questions that y'all would like to ask?
Not particularly a question, but I was going to say I liked what Colin mentioned, and Jake does say to do that as well as you, Jake, about these for supplements. I went and had my micronutrient deficiency test to find out what they were, and it was amazing to know I was low on magnesium, zinc, B12, B5. That's another one, just to see where my body was at. So to have that baseline was very, very helpful, and then just to get periodic updates, as my insurance and my wallet allows, but just to keep getting them to know what's going on, having high levels of something and low levels of something else, knowing where my hormones are at, that was very, very helpful. So then as I do a new protocol and try something, see how my body feels, and then get retested, I can go, okay, it's balancing out. But I think so for me, as well as the supplements, I do take them, but I also want to find out, is my nutrition really meeting my needs? So I use we do it on the Facebook group. We talk about the chronometer. What is it? Chronometer. So I use that, and I use that as to help, figure out, okay, what am I taking? What am I missing? And sometimes I'll base what I'm going to eat the last meal, my dinner. I'll go, okay, what am I missing? What do I need? And that's the meal I'll try and balance everything out in my day when I'm looking at, okay, I've got calcium. What do I need? What's the next thing I need here? So I try and do that as well, but kind of piggybacking on what they were saying, that there's a lot that you can know your destination when you know what your body's doing or what the blood work says. So when you're just at a loss and it's how you feel, you can as well. For those that you can't either get a test right away or something, you'll feel whatever you're feeling. You'll feel better. Your sleep will improve. Your mood will change. So it'll happen. But yet, if you can dig down deep into that, then figure out where your supplements and stuff are taking you, your food, it helps tremendously.
Yeah, I like lab work. I know there's kind of two sides of the fence where lab work is a snapshot per se of what the real picture is. And I think things that you do, depending on what time you take your blood work, I think that different actions can kind of change the levels. And I think sometimes it can be inaccurate. But overall, I think blood work for me personally has been kind of a good tool to put you in the right direction. I think people who are interested in their health should definitely get lab work done at least once just to get kind of a good picture. But I think, I mean, I use this quote all the time. I think, your body's biofeedback is the best feedback, and self-experimentation is the best experimentation. So I've been focusing more on relying on what my body is saying and becoming more in tune with that instead of just being reliant on numbers on a chart. Although I every about 4 months or so, I do like to get blood work done and just kind of see what, if things are looking good, or if something feels off, I'll get like a specific test done depending on what the symptom is and seeing like where the issue is with that. But I think it's definitely beneficial.
So I have a follow-on to that. Do you guys ever have a cooling period where if you're testing something new, maybe you stop for a few weeks, then get lab tests? Or do you stay on whatever supplement get the lab test so that the supplement is influencing or could be influencing the test? Or do you see how your body is in its natural state?
I'd say both. Usually it's like, I'll wait like 6 months if I'm really trying to figure out something. Like for vitamin D, if I wanted to see if vitamin D was really increasing the levels in the blood, I'd probably wait like about 6 months and then go from there, and see if that makes a difference. Anywhere between 4 to 6 months, I think is a decent time range.
So you've never had it where you get a test and you've gone in just baseline, like whatever you did, you stopped, had a cooling off period, maybe didn't do it, or are you still on it when you get tested?
Oh, no, not yet. Vitamin D is one of those things that I want to experiment with as well. I was just talking to somebody, I don't know, maybe Jayton and Jake know, but Heidi, I think her last name is Vincent. She made a post talking about vitamin D and how she did both the extreme, like very pro supplementation, and then completely eliminated anything that had to do with vitamin D supplementation. And her caption was pretty interesting, but it was along those lines.
Jake.
In my opinion, I would usually 1 to 2 weeks prior to testing is a good like clean out period, so to speak. But I would just make sure that the nutrition that you're using, so even like the supplemental nutrition like liver and oysters and things like that, stay within where they're supposed to be as far as like what you're doing now. But in terms of the supplementation, 1 to 2 weeks is usually the clean out period that I've seen to be the most common recommendation.
Jake?
Yep, that's basically what I was going to say in a nutshell. 1 to 2 weeks, and really keep your nutrient dense thermal foods very on point, definitely before you do that. Also, Gina, as you go along your thermal journey, maybe once a year, I like to just get off all supplements. Give yourself a break. Take a couple weeks off. You can make it a month and just see how you feel. And then one thing I like to do is slowly add in. Let's say, I'll start with Testro X. I'm off all supplements for a month. Start incorporating Testro X again, and then maybe a week or two incorporate something else. Give your system a break. It's not that your system needs a break, but it's good to about once a year. If you're really dialing in your supplement game, you're really trying everything new that you can, everything that you see, just to see how you react. Does it help you? Does it not help you? Once a year, take a month off or a couple weeks off and just relax, work on being stress-free, dial in your diet like we always talk about, and, take some time off and then reincorporate everything slowly. It's a good thing to do. I recommend that to anybody else watching too. Just take a little break.
Kind of along those lines, one thing is like if I'm feeling good and then all of a sudden like it's just been disrupted, like my digestion goes off or my sleep goes off or I'm just feeling off, supplements are usually the first thing that I cut out. Every single time that I've done that, I've been able to narrow down what it was much more effectively because you're taking out the amount of variables that are at play within the experiment. So that's usually the first thing that I do whenever something's kind of going a little haywire too, is I'll cut out all of the supplements that I'm taking, and then I'll slowly add them back in. And I can either narrow it down from there or see that that's not what's causing it. And then I can go on to the other variables that I need to test in order to narrow down kind of what's going on.
Yeah, to piggyback on both of what you guys said, lately what I've been kind of doing with supplementation is utilizing what I need at that season of time, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if I was up north right now, I'd probably be supplementing with more vitamin D than anything else. So I've been supplementing based off of what issue I'm trying to resolve at that given time. I don't really think I have a specific foundation set in stone for supplements at the moment. I think for me, it varies depending on what it is that I'm trying to resolve. Like, for example, the past few days, I'm using like camphoric acid or Georgie's Camphisol product. That thing does wonders. I've been using that to help with like digestion as well and trying to speed up the transit time and increase the bowel movements. And it's been night and day. But now that I've noticed an increase in those areas, I stopped using it and I don't have a purpose for it anymore at the moment. So I've been trying to keep my supplements very, very basic as I can. The vitamin K, so I take that back. There are some staples, the vitamin K, the vitamin E, and the vitamin D in a pretty small of a dose. Maybe aspirin would be the other, I guess, set in stones that I have at the moment, as well as the supplemental foods.
Definitely, yeah. I have to watch it with the aspirin because I tend to lean towards the anemic side. So I'll start to be, if I supplement with it too frequently, I'll start to get nosebleeds. And I'll start to get more fatigued throughout the day. So I have to watch it whenever it comes to the aspirin. Usually anything bigger than like 150 milligrams is whenever I start to see problems with it on a consistent basis. So yeah, I just have to watch out for that one, but I would definitely say it's worth experimenting with. But sweet. Well, I really don't have any more questions. Is there anything else that y'all would like to talk about?
I was going to ask like what your guys' favorite activators were, as far as like, whether it's walking or.
My favorite thermal activator as of late is coffee. I've always liked coffee. It's always been a big game changer for me. But I've really increased my milk intake. I'm really down in a lot of the canola supernatural. I'm loving it. But when I get up in the morning, I usually do a little bit of foam rolling right away, a little bit of red light, and then I'm ready for that coffee. Like the metabolism boost it gives me, the thyroid boost it gives me, my mindset, it puts me in such a good mood. And now I'm doing like 3-4 cups of coffee. I like to do a couple in the morning, and then at about 2:00 when you kind of hit that drowsiness kind of place, I'll do another cup. And I'm absolutely loving every single thing about coffee. So if you're watching and you're struggling with coffee, you really want to increase your thyroid health, you want to increase your liver health, you might want to eat a big breakfast before you start that coffee, or maybe a glass of bone broth if it's getting you too jittery and feeling antsy. But when you get to that thermal state of health, coffee is unbelievable. It's also good. Coffee enemas are also awesome as well. But lately, coffee, I'm all about it, man. I feel unbelievable. I feel great just from being thermal in general, but that extra little kick of coffee is just, it's amazing. It's a really good thing to get in. It's one of the most nutrient dense things on the planet you can consume every single day. So if you can handle coffee, get it in. And if you can't, definitely do some more healing and try to get it in.
Yeah, I would say as far as activation for me, the more that I dial in on my psychology, honing in the skill of metacognition and trying to make sure that I interrupt thought patterns that are antagonistic to the progression that I want to achieve. It's probably one of the best activators that I've been able to utilize, especially through meditation, whether it's going for a walk and getting some good sunshine, or sitting in front of my red light and meditating, or doing some yoga. That has been something that's been very beneficial. I would also say journaling, and I wouldn't journal on a computer, so I wouldn't type. I think that there is novelty in the interaction of matter whenever you're actually handwriting something. I think that somatic experience of handwriting is very important to the benefits that we experience with that. So I'd say those are probably the biggest ones right now that I've been enjoying.
What you're saying is I should delete my Evernote and just completely forget about it.
Start writing.
Old school, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have like several different methods. So I'm kind of a crazy note taker. So if I have an idea or something, I'll like record myself talking into a Snapchat video. And then like if I don't have anything to write on, or I'll do some kind of like voice recording on my phone, and then I'll go back and write it down later. But there's also different things that you can utilize. Like Evernote is a good one. I think there's also there's a note-taking app called Obsidian that is really good to help like build a second brain, because in a lot of cases people say that the brain is not made for storing ideas, it's made for generating ideas. So the more mental space that you can free up for the generation of ideas and not having to remember things, the better that your brain performance can actually become. So creating a second brain is something that has been very fascinating to me, and has been something that I've been kind of digging more into as time goes on, for sure.
What was that called?
Obsidian is a really good one. And then let's see, I also use Notion is a really good one as well. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I just have like, I have a bunch of journals that I'll write stuff down in, or just record random stuff on my phone. And then whenever I have some spare time, I'll just stop and I can come back and visit those ideas again, so I can see them from a different perspective. Some people probably think that I'm crazy because I'll be sitting there and I'll talk to my future self sometimes, like, Jayton, you need to think about this in this way. And like, this is how you're thinking of it now. So how has your perspective changed, and like, what things can you do to better utilize this idea? So, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I definitely think that people sometimes think I'm a little crazy whenever I do that, for sure.
You're not. I self-talk a lot.
Mhm.
I self-talk a lot, especially when I'm alone. Gina, did you see that? You realize, let it go. No stress. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say one of my biggest activators, and I just did it yesterday, was donating blood. So I've been donating blood. I don't want to say a lot. Like, I've been doing it every 2 to 3 months. I've been donating blood. I feel amazing when I donate blood. Like yesterday I went, and I think my record time was like 5 minutes and 18 seconds for finishing from start to finish. And my goal is to kind of cut that time in half, because in my mind, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but in my mind, it's if I'm decreasing the amount of time that it's taking for me to fill the donation, that means that my blood flow is improving, which is one of the trouble areas that I've had in the past. But I feel amazing when I donate blood to just completely get rid of that excess iron. It feels amazing.
Awesome. I've been thinking of doing.
Yeah. I haven't really donated that much blood. It is definitely something that I'd like to experiment with. What are some of the benefits that you've kind of seen from that?
I definitely feel so. Yesterday, I noticed that I was a lot more energetic. And at first, I was concerned that could have been somewhat of a stress response. So I kind of took time to think or pay attention to other things that I was experiencing. Usually when I'm having a stress response, my fingertips will get really cold. I didn't have that. So I think it was overall like a really positive outcome. That and my allergies have been decreasing ever since I started donating more consistently. And I think that can just be from reduction of any excess iron that I potentially could have. But the key thing is, I think, going back to that foundation, is that I think having good nutrition is important before starting to transition into donating blood. Because I think it could be stressful if somebody was already depleted in abundance of specific, whether it's minerals, micronutrients, etc. So I really try to fuel myself prior, and then I'm pounding the OJ. Like, as soon as I get in the car, I have the gallon sitting right there in the passenger seat, ready to go. But I think it feels great.
Definitely. Jake, you experiment with that at all?
No, I never donated blood. Years ago, I tried donating the plasma, and the plasma won't return. I had a weird experience, so it's one thing.
I'm scared to do that.
It's one thing I definitely try to avoid, but there are all kinds of benefits, like you said. Maybe it's something I should look into. But it's like we talked about before, those things you just kind of got to get over the hump of doing. So if I can do shots of liver and if I can do a coffee enema, I could donate some blood. So be on the calendar.
You can do anything. Jake, you can do anything. I believe that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the power of the thermal warrior, you can accomplish anything.
If you're doing coffee enemas, you can do anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that you cannot accomplish.
That might have to be one of the new slogans on my flag.
Yeah.
Funny. Well, I want to make sure to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Where can people find y'all on social media and stuff like that?
With me, you can find me on the UMZU Facebook group. I do live Q&As every Tuesday and Thursday to help new members or existing members optimize their stack, talk to them about UMZU supplements. You can also find me on the Thermo Diet group. I'm very active on there. I'm on there all day. I'm on there in the evening, in the mornings, at night. I'm on there all the time. I also have an Instagram, Jacob J. Miner. I do post some stuff on there, but most of my bioenergetic stuff, you can find it on the Thermo Diet group.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at my first name, Colin, Colin, Rico, Ricco. I try to be active on there, do the best that I can. You can find me on Facebook as well. I'm trying to be more active on Facebook. That's something that I'm struggling with. Just overall, trying to be more active on my social media, using it as a platform just to help, spread different ideas and get different conversations going. But those are the two places that you can find me on.
You can find me commenting on Jake's lives in the UMZU community group. Also the Thermo Diet community group, I'm in there as well. I post tons of my progresses. I've had issues last year with my hair, spots in my hair, with my thyroid, my hormones, my gut. And then as the hair's grown back, I had to show the pictures to the Thermo group. And all my family, just so they can see all the improvements, which of course now they want to do UMZU supplements, which is great. But yes, I'm also on Instagram, Gina_adventures. My life is very adventurous. Or being on a thermo journey is adventurous. So you can find me there as well. But I love being on the Thermo Diet group. That's an awesome platform to be on Facebook. So It's fun to connect with everybody else that is like-minded, and we're all sharing our success stories and learning from each other. So that's priceless. I love that group. So thank you, Jake, for always posting. And I want to see that enema post. Did you post on that yet?
No pictures of that. I posted the box.
Wait, not the picture of it. But I mean, you can.
If you see some Mariah Carey music, that's my enema post. But yeah, real quick before we hop off here, if you guys are watching this, or when you guys do watch this, all the viewers, remember, if you're struggling with your health, hop on the Thermo Diet. If you have a loved one that that's struggling with any kind of health issues, gut, sleep, libido, hair loss, anything like that, thyroid issues, get them on the Thermo Diet. Show them Christopher Walker's YouTube videos. A huge thing when it comes to optimizing your health is one, a very nutrient-dense diet, and two, strategic supplementation. So this is why, UMZU supplements in combination with the Thermo Diet are amazing, and I just want to thank both of you guys for hopping on and being Thermal Warriors.
Thank you.
Your guys' progress is awesome. I was talking to this about Jayton before, is, the Thermo Diet and the lifestyle and the success is contagious. Usually, like when I got to the Thermo Diet, I was in this terrible state. I was in a terrible financial state, and and everything's completely better. And I see that with people I work with in the Thermo Diet. Once you knock out all them health issues, your life gets better, and it's contagious, and it helps other people's lives get better. So, if you're watching this right now and you have people in your life that are really dealing with some pretty negative health issues, get them on the Thermo Diet group and start on the UMZU supplements. And check out Christopher Walker's YouTube page. It's really going to change your life. It's going to change the lives of everyone around you. How you react, how you parent, your relationships, your financial gains in life. It's all going to get better. So get on the Thermo Diet and start optimizing your health. Don't wait any longer. If you're watching this and you're contemplating, I don't know if I want to start this. It's something new. I'm kind of nervous. Get on there. You can reach out to me. I'll help you. Gina and Colin are great references to reach out to on the Thermo Diet group as well. So with that being said, share the shit out of this YouTube podcast and smash that like button.
Heck
Yeah. We heard it from the miner himself. Thank y'all, and we'll talk next time. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you want us to cover a different topic.